Hi, hello guys. Um, Lava Lamb Chops here. So this is kind of new for me. I finally got all my settings and stuff working, so I could do this. There's not this isn't very scripted. I have a couple notes. So we're gonna be going over Combat Gods 2. This is definitely one of the coolest animations I've seen in a long time. It's made by Jhanzou. I'll have a link in the description. So I highly encourage you to watch it all the way through before watching this video. I'm going to be skipping past the story and stuff, and there's a Combat Gods 1 as well. Those will be linked in the description as well. So I think the way I'm going to do this is we're just going to start going through the animation, and I'll basically be pointing out various aspects of how, like, the various tools that Jhanzou uses and the other animators in this to kind of it's basically the principles that allow the animation to be as effective as it is. You'll see more of what I mean as we get going, so let's go ahead and start. And there, I will be pausing frequently, just letting you guys know. Sorry about that.
Possible.
Man.
Lucky you.
All right, so we're gonna talk about this real quick. So one of the first things that I think make this style of animation so effective, well, the first thing I would say is this feeling of weight. Like, between the sound effects, even him just, like, crouching down here, like, it feels heavy. I think, like, having your character, like, have that sense of weight is actually really, ends up being really important towards, like, contrasting it with the speed they're going. It really helps impacts, like, come through, and we'll see that more later. Another thing about this that makes this so effective is, in addition to it feeling weighty, Jhanzou is basically a master of, like, building the anticipation in order for a release of energy. And so, like, even though he hasn't moved technically, this new shot of him on the ground is building anticipation. Just because of, like, how engaging this is. And so we feel the anticipation, and then goes and it pays off. One thing that's really important is when you have characters moving this fast, as we'll see, Jhanzou incorporates a lot of slow motion, which I find to be like extremely important for allowing the audience to keep up. And the anticipation also works towards that goal. So I'll point this out more as we go on.
Lucky you. You would have lost your head. Next time, you won't be so lucky. Calm.
Okay, so this whole sequence, I think one of the things that allows this to just like really feel so satisfying to watch, like the stage has been set essentially. We have our fight, we have our characters, we know why they're fighting. I think the way I would put it is the expressive movements of the character are like you could just kind of do standard things. You could go straight into the attacks, but these kind of things where he shows the character like expressing something, like he does the pose and you can see him like kind of the energy beaming in his eyes. It's really, 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 really cool, and you'll see this everywhere. Like this shot is so good. I just love the 3D aspect of like his characters. Like these, I noticed a lot of like stick figure animators feel, myself included, for a large portion of my starting, is basically like the attacks are very like two-dimensional, very up and down and like forward and backward. But if you think about things in a more like 3D way, it opens up a lot of possibilities for combat.
Calm.
Usually it would be hard-pressed to find an attack where they like spin through the air horizontally. I love this one. So like look at this 3D nature here. So like he bends down, you can see like here the body is completely in the Z-axis. And like this feeling of the 3D movement, extremely nice. This allows for dodges and things like that to just really like make sense.
Pathetic. What?
A lot of like these kind of motions help like with the weight as well. Like when he pushes off here, the little like kind of jump back into the stance, that's what I would consider like a very expressive movement. I think it tells a lot about the character.
What? You call that kung fu?
Again, with like the little expressive movements, it's fantastic. I think more fights need that. There's 3D shots like that are included in this are absolutely insane. The way like he kind of jumps off this foot, like this is really well done.
Allow me.
So yeah, here's one thing I also think is like really effective that Jhanzou does. It's the idea of like the build up and then there's like a payoff. So I'll show this. So there's gonna be a bunch of like very fast attacks here, and you know there's going to be a lot of exchanges. Like this is going very quickly, but then there's a big moment where he'll get an opening and he'll do some big attacks, and now he's on the offensive, and he gets to finish in like these big, huge attacks. And then I just think that's like really, really effective, and you can do this in so many ways. And it works because even though it's like really fast, the big kind of the big payoff that it's leading to also gives us like a time for our eyes to kind of catch up and like come into the moment of like what the situation is. So you'll see like the fast attacks, and you'll see the big breaks, and like this is just very effective for like the flow of combat. Again, the 3D nature of this. And so this speed is like, it looks really, really impressive, but it's a simple strategy and it works really effectively. So we'll see a blink, so 2 frames, and then the attack. And then normally if it went back into a blink after this, it'd be too fast, I think, for our brains to think about it. But Jhanzou knows this, and he has another frame, which the character barely moves at all. But that's really all you need. This extra frame allows us to like see it, just barely. And then we can go into 2 more flashes. I think the 2 frames direct like the movement extremely well. So it's 2 flashes, 2 or 3 attack frames, and then back into the dash. And because like this strategy of like the frames works really well, you can just keep doing it. It makes it look really, really insane. And one thing when these characters are zooming around the screen, going like insanely fast, you need these moments where like it slows down. So I think that's kind of the secret with speed, is you actually need to like have it go really slow to contrast it at certain points, and it makes it actually seem faster than if it just kind of kept going without any pauses. It's like here he could have just flashed like into the attack, but Jhanzou very carefully put these frames here, showing him redirect his momentum. This is very important. These few frames allow our mind's eye to catch up, and then we know exactly where we're headed right now. And you can contrast this fast blink with a cut, and then the slow motion. And this is like the slow motion after the speed that really, really allows this to like work effectively. Looks extremely good. So one thing I love is the back and forth of the combat. So I think in a fight like this, where it's 2 very powerful characters against each other, it's really important that each character gets like a time to shine. And so we'll notice when things are about even, but it becomes obvious when somebody has an advantage. So like here, he gets the hit, and he's gonna like be able to do a move off of it. And this move he uses is one of my favorites. So this is kind of also using that concept I mentioned of like the 3D space. It can allow for like new moves. Like this one you wouldn't normally think about, but he's able to jump off his knee, off his thigh, and knee him in the face. And this is a move like people can do in real life, but like normally like it's hard to have the creativity to think to do something like this when you're just working in like a 2D mindset. And this knee is just perfect with the... As soon as it hits, the characters don't move, but there's like this shake and this like flare of energy, and then it flashes and then continues. I think that's really, really effective for adding anticipation to the hit. And remember, like, let's see. This part here where okay. This is something that's really effective where in order to increase the anticipation, he simply shows the same kick 3 times, one right after the other from a different point of view. And this is pretty effective. It allows it to stay as fast as it is, but because we see it 3 times, we like actually are able to see it better. Incredible.
That is true kung fu. Not that mindless move of yours.
This is something else that I really love from this animation, like so much that I don't see a lot, is like the characters very visibly take damage.
Damn you.
And I love that.
Fast.
After these huge exchanges, one of the characters will be Yellow in this case, is like he's on the brink of like being like extremely injured. I think showing the vulnerability of the character by like having them injured actually makes like their comeback from that look even more powerful. A lot of characters will be like really powerful and they won't like take damage, like people won't animate them taking the damage, and I think like that's kind of a shame because I think like seeing that damage is really, really, really incredible, and it shows that like the fight has consequences. And it can also be contrasted by things like this, where the character doesn't take damage, and the characters are surprised by that.
You shouldn't have done that.
Fantastic.
Kill you. I'd like to see you try.
That right there is a really great example of like
I'd like to see you try.
The speedy fast hits, and then it's broken up by a slow motion, big impact, and then the weight is redistributed right into the next scene. This shit's fantastic. I wanted to talk about this knife bit real quick. So the way he flourished the knife at the beginning, I think, is another example of very expressive movement. It shows technique, also showing the knife, allowing us to see it. And there's so much anticipation on this hit. Getting to see him like slam into this wall like this is absolutely incredible. This kind of like this like Sakuga star effect is really, really important too. Let's take a look at it. So it kind of flashes through the whole thing, and then we see these bursts, like the whole thing is about to. And then right there, we just cut to this star shape. It fades out. There's another one, another one, another one. So they're appearing and fading out. So like this flashing, fading like effect within a couple frames, it's very, very nice. Let's see it like in action. Yeah, it's fantastic. It builds up anticipation for this payoff of the giant explosion.
Weak.
Okay. And I think we're going to skip through this middle bit. We're going to skip the story as well. Go ahead and watch the original, please.
The selfish intent of wanting to preserve.
Alright. So we saw Yellow take this giant hit. Homie should be out for the count, but he's back for more.
Who is this guy?
This comes back to the back and forth. So Red is getting huge advantages, but the fact that Yellow is able to fight him is pretty inspiring in its own right. he's got more power than ever looks like now, too. Genuinely incredible. Let's check this out. So I love how we there's no background here. It's just the characters. And I think that's to make their colors like pop even more. These frames are insane. Like absolutely insane. So we can kind of tell he's right about to like start swinging his fist. This is right before he starts swinging. This is where all the power is built up. And it's slowed down, but these frames are just all anticipation. Even though the character's not moving, all these flashes anticipate his release of energy. Giant light, electricity. He reels back to swing even harder, and here it comes. You see the eyes, like, go right past the screen. So super engaging. And then you see the fist come right across the screen. Absolutely incredible. And he just applies the exact same concept here. He's getting ready to attack. And then there's the flash of anticipation. And then the energy is in his hand as he swings it forwards. And they just fly slowly. And then they collide in super speed. All of these flashes and shit is just the amazing, beautiful payoff icing on the cake. Extremely satisfying. Huge explosion, and we're like, what happens now? Boom, we're still fighting. So this is that same concept of you want to give your audience like a spot to breathe after these fast movements. So we have these incredibly fast characters moving across here. And that's like too much for our brain to handle, but because after here it slows down right here, this allows us to like kind of digest what we just saw. And this jump back to engage into the combat is perfect. As soon as you allow the audience to catch up, you can have your character just rush back in there. There's another technique he uses as well to make the speed come across. He's done this a few times. It's like this skid. So the character's going backwards, but he's running forwards. And kind of, as he's running, he kind of goes backwards. But then, as you can see, he's going to catch and go straight forwards. And this is extremely effective at communicating speed to the audience by having them sliding across the ground. This is just absolutely incredible. So this, I love how they're just lights here. Like you don't need to have the characters here. Like, just showing that like they collided and they bent back off. This kind of little anticipation shows that like they're running back towards each other again. It's really, really fantastic. Yeah, this little slow movement of like them going outwards and then back in, it communicates the same thing super effectively. And then we'll have the big like super quick combo, and then we'll have this kind of moment where the characters like adjust to do it differently. So right now they're super even. It's going super fast. I love this. Instead of like giving us the break right away, he increases the tension even further by having like a different type of mind game going on. So they're attacking with their fists here, and then it switches to the legs. I love this. And then they collide like that, and that's our breather. That's our breather moment. And we get different aspects to the fight. Like here, he teleports with the knife. He's gonna try clones. Classic from Red. I love this. So the mindset of the character is that he's using his clones to distract him while he sets up this final hit with the sword. Let me see this again. I love this. Even we as the audience are so engaged with like how he's gonna fight off all these guys that it comes as a complete surprise to us when we see the sword. And this moment where he's running towards us and we see this, very, very important, so we understand like what's going on. So like it's a surprise to the character, but it's shown to us so that we're able to see what's happening.
Too easy.
And this like effect as he's closing it, just wow. So he dashes past. It's slow and then it speeds up and has a flash into like the slow motion here. And this is kind of the back and forth as well. Like Red obviously got the upper hand through his outplay with the clones. But now we're gonna see what Yellow does to retaliate. And he actually manages to dodge this. And it's like slowed down after such a way after each attack that we're able to see. The 3D-ness of it like really allows that feeling of like shoving backwards. The big payoff hits, fantastic. So Yellow has the upper hand here. Yeah, so Yellow's keeping the advantage. He got rid of the clones, but there's more. He picks up the sword, and it's fantastic. We get to see him use it. Okay, this is one thing I love. So normally, instead of just like going to the next part where he gets the next weapon, he has his sword shattered here, and there's like blood. This is kind of like he was on the offensive, and he was doing great with the sword, but by having it broken, it makes sense that he would need like a new strategy. But for the moment, Red is definitely... I'd say they look quite even here, and we're very on the edge of our seat, wondering like who's going to be the victor. He manages to take out the weapons. Absolutely insane. Now we see that Red has the upper hand now. Huge payoff, giant combo, fantastic. And we're gonna feel this damage. I love how much work he put into showing us this character just flying. Like, close up, sideways. We see the whole thing. And this animation of the damage he took, I absolutely love it. He can't even find like the energy in his eyes anymore. We see Red coming over to finish the job. Again, showing this damage is so incredible. He even like throws up. It's fantastic. So we know Yellow is extremely like, we don't think he can do this.
Surrendering is not defeat. It was not a child's brawl. It's meant to kill. No, it is meant to protect.
Shit goes hard. Such a cool line. I love this moment because while it may have seemed a bit even, this is where we know for sure that yellow never stood a chance. I love how it's this. I love how that's shown to us. And yeah, that's basically the whole thing. But I would like to look over a couple parts again, just to talk about like the things. So I think like he uses like weight to build anticipation, and the anticipation allows for the speed to be so effective. Okay, I think I'm gonna try and talk about like the actual like frames of the animation here. So there's one part I would like to look at. So one thing I love is about about like his ability to just kind of chain hits into itself is like we see the follow through. The follow through is quite slow, but then we'll see the character like redirect the momentum. This is what I love, like this arc. So he'll hit and then he'll kind of redirect it. And this 3D like aspect of the characters is fantastic. You can really feel the dodge, and because of how close this dodge is, that is like also really engaging. You don't want to make sure like he doesn't dodge like really far away. Like the closer he is when he dodges, like the more engaging that is, I think. So he uses the kind of momentum of landing here into the punch and block. For red here, after the block, he has 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames. So honestly, he only needs like, literally he only needs like 3 frames to go into a different attack. So it's attack, 1 frame, 2 frame, attack, 1 frame, 2 frame, attack. And one thing I think is really important that I think is like really effective is sometimes when the hits, if your hit is just like a single frame, like if this was the only frame here, sometimes it's too fast for us to really like kind of see what's happening. But as you'll see, like he double frames these. So each hit that he has, there's 2 frames here. And I think this is something that I've learned as well. I think it's really nice when out on the attack frame, you have an extra frame there. I think it just allows us to see that frame for a little bit longer than the rest. For these dodges, he doesn't do it. It's only for the blocks, I think. The grab. This kind of 3D aspect is, again, shown here. He steps in front of him and hits, like, off the arm he grabbed, like, in the chest. That's fantastic. That's just good choreography right there. And it'll go 1, 2, 3. So it's literally hit, 1, 2, hit, 2 hit frames, 1, 2, 3, and then, yeah, 2 frames on the hit. And this is kind of a strategy you can just, like, apply to your own work, absolutely. kind of for some of these like more expressive moves, there's more frames, obviously. And I think these are just really fantastic to watch. And one thing that's cool is like a lot of these attacks don't hit. Like a lot of these attacks are blocked or dodged. And I think that aspect of like the characters blocking and dodging as opposed to your hits landing all the time is really, really, really good. I think you want to save the moments of like them hitting the opponent is like only when they have some sort of like they've gained some sort of advantage through like an opening that they've created. So here Red lands this hit. And let's see, you can kind of see that this was like set up. So this attack gets blocked. A lot of the attacks have been blocked up to this point. But as you can see, it kind of like goes past his guard a little bit. It kind of shoves him out of the way. And this gives him an opening to land his big kick. And I love this. This part has more frames to kind of show you what's going on. So it's been a bunch of like basic attacks and blocks. But then he's going to throw in the kick. And the kick is what's going to give him the opening. So he kind of shows him doing this. It shows him blocked. But then after like literally 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After 6 like frames of seeing it blocked, that's when we see it like rush past it. And it's going to be fast. But then it's going to be slow right into his next attack. And he uses like the 3D aspect as well here. Very, very nice looking sidekick. And this kind of inverted color flash definitely like signals to our brains damage. It's one flash, so you don't really see it, but you feel it. And this is kind of a breather moment here where he's gotten the hit, and then he's gonna re-engage. Here he does it really quickly. There's only 3 frames before he's just in his face again with another attack. But it works because he put the after image there. The after image allows our brain to kind of like process that, even though it's only a single frame. And this is kind of he's been using more of the yellow has been using more of the speedy dashes here. And this is what allows him to get his opening here. So there's a bunch of attacks going on, a lot of blocks, a lot of dodges. So he uses his flash to dodge Red's kick here. And before he can block really, he lands it from an attack from the other side. And you can see this kind of go through his guard and push him out. And while he's recovering, he's going to try and use this opportunity. But Red was able to predict the low attack to the feet, so he jumped in the air. And this is like that back and forth of combat. Like, this is really, really effective. So he dodged it, but it doesn't look like Red gets an opening just yet. He's still using... Yellow is still using the speed to dash around. And this is where we see Red use some sort of like meditative stance, and like he has after images that and it's just so incredible. This whole animation is really, really good. It's one of my favorites. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this kind of video, feel free to let me know, and I might want to make some more. I don't know if anything I said is like particularly worth your while, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you. Bye for now.